What's happening, everyone? Blessed here again with another tutorial video, or explain video. I haven't been here for a while. I haven't done one of these for a good long time, just because of everything that's been going on and just very busy and work and family and stuff like that. But hopefully I'll be back more consistently with more of these. This one will be the one explaining the Tokyo animation that I did, the Tokyo 2021, with the corona and all that sort of stuff. So I'll probably play it now. Okay, so yeah, that one, this one is for that. It's actually very, in terms of what I did, it's actually one of my shortest animation in terms of the length of time it took me to make it, just because it sort of was a spontaneous idea that I had, and I just put it down. It took me a couple of days to do it. Simple illustration in Adobe Illustrator, but most of the work after that was done in After Effects. But I'll show you first of all the Illustrator part. Okay, so let me do that now. So literally this is all I did in Adobe Illustrator. Virus sort of symbol. It consists of a circle and all these sort of like node things that I made using a circle and merging the shapes, and then just to show you an idea. So it was just a circle, and then it might have been a rectangle that I did it so long ago, so I can't remember exactly, but a circle and a rectangle. I think it might have even been another circle at the bottom. So that took me 2 seconds to do that. So you're looking at it and you might be thinking, that doesn't look very smooth, curved or whatever. So basically all you do is you group it together, and then once it's grouped together, in fact not group it, you've got to align it all into one shape. So now it's one shape. You can actually manipulate these curves. I'm going to pull it out there, this one here, pull it out there, this one right here, pull it out there. So now you can see how I basically did the other sort of nodes, and obviously after that you can manipulate even further, so you can stretch it or squash it. After that I did everything else in After Effects. This part was really quick. Most of the time I was doing After Effects, like I said before. So let's go into After Effects and I'll explain everything step by step there. So now we are in After Effects. Let's start with what I started with first, which makes more sense. So I started off first with, it was actually the rings, the Olympic rings, right? Try and find where it is. Like I said, I did this a while ago, so it might take me a while to find it. So yeah, this was the ring part of it. It's a simple scaling down of a circle to give the illusion that the rings are passing the camera and moving further away. So it's all the rings merged together, and then the sort of vibrating shake, trying to show energy, and then expand into the the different colored Olympic rings, the blue, yellow, black, green and red. And then they give off, when they do shake and separate, they give off this sort of energy that illuminates and flies back to the camera. So that was it there. I did add a few effects onto that to make it more interesting. So as you can see, it's all merged together, and there's sort of light leaking here as it splits, and a glow. It's just simple adjustment effects that I've added. So I can take off the glow there. Can you see it? That's the glow. I had to change the blending mode on it to make it give that glow effect, because when they separate, they're still sort of interlinked. They split, they glow, and then they flash and pop, and then they fall after. Okay, so this was the first step anyway, this part. Then the second part was, because this sort of the falling of the rings was all caused by, you know, the coronavirus. Well, you'll see in a second what I'm talking about. So if I go to this virus part, basically the idea was having if I go to the text, in fact, let's go to the text because the text makes more sense if I go there next. So if I go to the text, basically when the Olympic rings pop up, it says Tokyo 2020 because, you know, that's when the next Olympics were supposed to be, this year, and it pops up with 2020. I thought, why not make it cool to have the 0 change into an actual, you know, the virus symbol. What happens is the 0, the N0 disappears, transforms into the virus. Yeah, so basically I've just morphed it using changed it into paths, morphed it into the circle by copying the paths. As you can see, the center circle closes up to, you know, make the circle, and then you can see it widens out. But right here, like after this part, it's actually not this circle, it's not the O anymore. It's actually the actual virus. So when you're watching it, you know, you don't know the difference, but that one, the actual 0 fades out and the virus comes in. If I go back to the actual video, you can see it. You look closely actually. So, and it is blurry just because I lower the, you know, quality so that it runs faster. So right here, where now it's not the O anymore, it's this new virus which I've just brought in. It's one of these. Anyways, it comes in with the nodes popping off it, makes a cool sound. Then obviously, you know, it says 2020, it says 202 with the virus as the O, and then the rings drop because obviously, you know, the virus is there. This part in the background where it's sort of like, you know, bacteria or virus in the background, that's actually was the last thing I did, but I'll go over it now since, you know, we're talking about this section. So basically this is me switching on and off the effect. Okay, it consists of, so first of all, I've used the orange background. It's like a this tint of orange, yeah, because I thought it contrasted well with the text and the virus and whatnot. After that, I put on turbulent noise, which is basically, turbulent noise is like, it can make any sort of shape or background or whatever, add noise to it, you know, to make it fuzzy. So I did that. Let me get back to it. I did that here. Right. So now you've got this turbulent noise wiggle, which is cool in itself. You know, it still gives a bit of an effect. But then I thought, let me take it a step further. I did this cell pattern, which I never knew about before, but I found it going through the effects, and now, you know, it looks cooler. They're sort of even interacting with each other, as you can see. Look, they're sort of squashing each other and all that sort of stuff. I thought that was sick. I did that on, and then this is a cool part as well, with the slice of the virus with the one popping up. So that's what I did next, and this was probably the most difficult part, was actually getting this sort of effect. So I'll go into that right now. We've got the virus symbol that I drew in Illustrator. We've got the slice that splits it, and a spark, and then we've got the 2 parts flying off, right? What I've done is I've got 2 copies of this virus as a whole, and I've basically masked out the other half, so you can't see it, but the other half of that is there. Let me just move ahead. So this is a full one that's been masked out half there. This is the full one that's been masked out, you know, the other half there. It just makes it easier when trying to manipulate it instead of actually splitting it. The spark is pretty easy. It's just a let me go into it. In fact, no, that's the mask. It's basically paths, trim paths effects. Well, it just means that the path is, you know, invisible, or is not there, and then it just goes from 0 to 100. So with 0 being, you know, close to the center, 100 being in, you know, near the end, it goes to 0 to 100 and then completes and finishes. So that gives the spark effect. The actual slice itself is the same. It's just a shape layer, but instead of actually using trim paths, what I've done is I've masked it. So if I go into it, this is the actual shape. It's just a slice, and then after I've come out of there, So nothing happens, you know, it's just a slice. I've come out of there, and to give the actual slice effect, I've made it invisible, and I've done a mask which has made it, you know, appear at certain parts to make it look like it's slicing it. Change the actual virus to black because it adds to the whole effect when I add, you know, the background and all that sort of stuff. Made it split off and fly. I've added blur as well just to give that effect of that it's, you know, moving. Motion blur, you can see there. You might actually not be able to see. It's blurry anyway for you guys probably, but yeah. Done that, flies off. So that was the next thing I did. If I go back, it makes more sense as a whole. So if I go back here, and the sound effects really help as well with this. Slice. I've added in the background as well sort of a zoomed in version. Actually made, like I've made the virus black, and made the text black as well. Well, you see this kind of effect in sort of anime, in that, you know, there'll be sort of exaggeration of the light and the dark shadows and whatever, and that's all that is. In, you know, with the blue in the background, that's illuminated, and, you know, instead of the, you know, darker orange, it's flashed to like a brighter orange in the back, and this has gone black. It's just basically an exaggeration to exaggerate the actual slice to make it more powerful. That's what I did there. And then all of a sudden the virus background's gone, it's gone back to orange, and then we've got this one flying in, right? That is probably the most simple part, but I think it adds more than you might think, because obviously if you can see, it's just ones scaling up. I'll go really slowly. You can see it's just ones scaling up with the actual one in the middle that, you know, turns to white at the end to say, you know, cancel 2020, make it 2021. So it's just, you can see there's 1, 2, and 3. I can turn them off. Woo, turn them off. So there's 3 ones that fly in, and with this one, I think I've done it in 3D. Yeah, they're all 3D. So instead of using just a scale option, I've actually made this one, you can't really see it, but I've made that in 3D space, had it laid down, you know, horizontally, and then it's just, you know, basically standing up, pops green to contrast against the red and you know, yellow background, and then changes to white. And that was pretty simple as well. There's something that's really important as well. If you can see, there's sort of these speed lines, you know, traveling, and that, I guess it's quite important to give the effect that, you know, the rings are moving really fast in space. There's so much energy, they're moving really fast, and then they're just dispersed and separate. I use this technique a lot. It's the fractal noise technique of, you know, basically use fractal noise. If I go to the background, speed lines, you have to call it the speed lines. I've got fractal noise here. I can turn it on and off. You can see the background. And then I've got a blur on it as well. I can turn the blur off and on. You can see that's with the without the blur. Turn the blur on, it's a bit more blur. So to sell it a bit more that it's moving fast, I just made it blurry basically. It's not the same, the pattern's not the same all the way through. I've made it move so that it gives the effect that it's moving really fast. And then obviously there's a wiggle effect as well on the rings as it builds energy. There's loads of different other things that you don't actually see hidden. So there's a lot of nulls. What I mean by nulls is like sort of like controllers. So these things control what's happening, but they don't actually add anything visually. So there's a null to control the amount of wiggle that the rings move, a null to control you know, positions of things. There's different nulls that you don't see. Most of these I've got them as red, but these things are really important, but they don't add anything visually, but they do add things in the background, or things that, you know, just controllers basically. So that's that. Overall, this one, I was actually really happy with it. One thing that I was happy with about it is because I made it pretty quick. Obviously with the coronavirus and whatnot, everyone was talking about it, a lot of media coverage about it. I had an idea to create this, and I did it in relatively good time. But yeah, that was basically how I did this one. Like I said, in that, I mean, why I haven't done much from, you know, my last post, which was like the Twitch one, up to now, is because there's been so much going on, and it was a lot to actually, you know, create something during that time. Not just, you know, all the negative stuff, but just things as well in life with my family and with work and all that sort of stuff. If you do like my content, make sure to like and comment. we'll be bringing more content out. Stay safe, everybody, and peace out, basically.